Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. Recap. Today we're breaking down a gripping action thriller called Cell 211, a film full of tension, twists, and raw emotion. If you haven't seen it yet, be warned, spoilers ahead. Let's get started. The story begins in a highly dangerous prison in Spain where prisoners were treated brutally as if they weren't even human. But one day the prisoners, led by a man named Melamander, finally decided to rise up against the system. In the middle of all this, a new guard named Oliver came to the prison. His duty was actually supposed to start the next day, but to impress his seniors, he showed up a day early. Little did he know, this very first day would open the door to death. As Melamander saw the keys in a guard's hand, suddenly a part of the roof collapsed and hit Oliver on the head. Melamander secretly used a thin steel wire he had hidden in his mouth to unlock his handcuffs without making a sound. Then he provoked the guard, and as soon as the guard got close, Melamander used the handcuffs to choke him. Oliver was with another guard, who quickly dragged him into an empty cell, Cell 211. But by then, Oliver had lost consciousness. Meanwhile, the riot had taken a dangerous turn. The prisoners broke the locks, took over the corridors, and fires were blazing everywhere. The whole prison was drowned in chaos and fear. Oliver's colleague didn't know whether to take him along or leave him, but another guard said, "If we try to escape with him, they'll catch us both and beat us to death." So they left Oliver behind. He lay there unconscious while screams, violence, and destruction echoed from every corner of the prison. The prison director was watching everything through CCTV, but even he was confused. All he could do was try to figure out what Melamander really wanted. A little later, one of Melamander's men reached Oliver. He saw a stranger lying in a cell, and without asking anything, he slapped him hard, which woke Oliver up. But Oliver was still confused. The man questioned him, but Oliver didn't answer. So the man locked the door and left. It didn't take long for Oliver to realize that a full-blown riot had broken out, and he was now trapped in a room right in the middle of it. Quickly, he removed his shoelaces and threw them into the toilet. Then he hid his belt under the mattress and even flushed his wallet away. He did all this because whenever a new prisoner arrives, their belongings are taken from them. He was just about to remove his wedding ring too when the cell door opened again. This time, Melamander's man had come to take him and brought him straight in front of Melamander. Standing confidently, Oliver took out a cigarette and calmly returned the pack. Then in a relaxed tone, he said, "I just got here today. This head injury? A guard hit me." Oliver didn't show any fear at all. At first, Melamander was suspicious. Oliver's face looked too innocent, like someone who wouldn't even hurt a fly. But then Oliver replied with boldness, "What, are you a fortune teller or something? Can you tell everything about me just by looking at my face?" Hearing that, Melamander paused for a few seconds. But Oliver's fearless attitude gained his trust. Still, to be sure, Melamander asked Oliver to remove his pants. Oliver was confused, but he followed the order anyway. And that moment turned out to be the thing that saved his life. In that prison, inmates aren't allowed to wear underwear. And coincidentally, Oliver already didn't like wearing any. That's when Melamander's doubt completely vanished. After that, all the prisoners in the jail started breaking the CCTV camera. But Oliver knew if all the cameras were destroyed, he would lose contact with the outside. So he shouted loudly, "Stop!" Everyone turned to look at him, and Oliver said, "Leave one camera so we can show our demands to the outside. If you don't want the staff to see, just cover it with a cloth." Melamander liked his idea. To gain everyone's trust, Oliver himself started covering the camera. He climbed up slowly and carefully put a cloth on the camera so that his face could be clearly seen. The people in the control room immediately understood that he was their own man in disguise. Now only the control room and Oliver knew that he was actually a prison guard, but Melamander still had some doubts. So he took Oliver to another guard who had the keys and asked him, "Is this the guard who attacked you?" Oliver and the real guard understood that their lives were at risk, so both denied knowing each other. Still, Melamander's men beat up the real guard badly. Meanwhile, the prison director finally asked for help from the special forces. A team soon arrived and took positions outside the jail. Their orders were clear. Only 2 guards are captured. Don't accept any demands. Start the operation and take back control. But then shocking news came in. 3 important political prisoners were still inside and hadn't been transferred. The media had also reported the riots. Now the whole country was watching the jail closely. These 3 were big leaders. If anything happened to them, there could be massive riots. But Melamander had already captured these leaders and showed them to the jail authorities through CCTV. Now that the top leaders were hostages, the prisoners became even more powerful. Everyone was celebrating inside. The jail director realized that the situation was out of control, so he sent someone to talk to the prisoner. Melamander's old record came out. 10 years ago, he led a riot and even killed a guard. Since then, he became the boss inside the jail. Melamander asked Oliver to help write down their demands. Improve the jail rooms, Let prisoners meet their families once every 15 days. Give proper medical treatment, not from behind bars. He said earlier, a prisoner with a brain tumor was told he was lying, and he died in pain. Oliver didn't find these demands wrong. He was impressed by Melamander's leadership. During the talk, Oliver told him, "My wife is pregnant. I'm stuck in jail and my child will be born soon." Melamander felt bad for him. Then Oliver made up a story. "The man I killed was a drug dealer. He murdered my younger brother, so I took revenge." Melamander felt even more sympathy, and the two started to get close. Soon the negotiator arrived at the jail. Melamander told Oliver to search him. While searching, Oliver cleverly gave away the location of the hostages to the negotiator and then shared the list of demands. The negotiator said, "I'll send these demands to higher authorities in return." Before leaving, Melamander told him, "All my brothers have been working since morning. Bring good food with you." He also requested that Oliver be allowed to talk to his wife. The negotiator agreed and said, "That much I can arrange. I'll take him and return him safely." Melamander trusted him but warned, nothing should happen to Oliver. He had started trusting Oliver a lot in a short time, which was a big opportunity for Oliver. But just before the gates opened, a loud scream came from inside the jail. Hearing the scream, Melamander grabbed the negotiator and told Oliver, "Go and check what happened." Oliver ran and saw two prisoners had fought. One was hit on the head and fell unconscious. In the control room, the Special Forces commander saw this and thought someone important had been killed. He immediately gave the order to attack. Oliver quickly understood that if they attacked now, many would die. He rushed to the camera and showed the three hostages to prove they were safe. As soon as the commander saw them alive, he canceled the attack. Talks started again. Oliver's quick thinking and courage saved everyone's lives. But Melamander didn't like how this new guy became a hero so quickly. Oliver understood this and didn't want to be seen as a hero. So he raised Melamander's hand and said, "Sir told me to do all this." Everyone lifted both of them on their shoulders and celebrated. Melamander said, "You did a good job, but next time don't act without asking me, or I won't forgive you." Somehow the news leaked that the three leaders had been killed and many were injured. Meanwhile, Oliver's wife Elena was eating in a restaurant. Suddenly, she saw on the TV that the same jail where her husband works was now all over the news. She got very scared and tried to call Oliver, but every time it said, "out of reach." After trying many times, she finally spoke to one of Oliver's colleagues. He just said, "Oliver's on duty at another branch. Maybe that's why his phone is off." But Elena understood that something was definitely wrong. She quickly took her car and rushed to the jail. By then, many other prisoners' families had also gathered outside. Everyone just wanted to know if their loved ones were okay. Elena joined the crowd and started asking about Oliver, but no one gave her a proper answer. Inside the jail, Melamander was eating with his group. Oliver was listening closely to Melamander's old stories. Just then, another prisoner came in, the same one because of whom the earlier fight had started. Melamander quickly went to him and taught him a lesson, because he had put everyone's life in danger by almost ruining the plan. During this time, Oliver secretly took the walkie-talkie that was on Melamander's chair. He was very worried about his wife. He used it to contact his colleague and said, "Please tell Elena that I'm safe." His colleague comforted him and said, "We already talked to her. Everything is arranged." Then Melamander and his group looked at the jail's TV screens, showing the protest happening outside. All the prisoners' families were shouting, and the news cameras were showing everything live. Melamander decided they needed to talk to the jail officials again, but when he looked for the walkie-talkie, it wasn't there. He and his men searched everywhere, but couldn't find it. Melamander became suspicious and wondered where it went. Just then, Oliver came back with it and said, "I was keeping it safe. If it went into the wrong hands, things could get worse." His explanation sounded right, so no one doubted him. But from the balcony, Apache had seen everything. He went to his room, took out a small hidden phone, and contacted a guard he knew. It turned out Apache was actually a secret informant working for the jail authority. Through this, he found out who Oliver really was. Outside the jail, the crowd was getting more angry. Some people even started throwing stones at the guard office. Seeing this, Guard Utrilla, already full of rage, lost control. He quickly made a team of guards with sticks and ordered them to beat up the crowd. They started hitting people without any reason. Inside on the TV screen, Oliver saw his wife in the crowd, looking small and scared. He rushed to Melamander and asked for the walkie-talkie. Then angrily, he contacted his jail colleague and shouted, "You said everything was arranged. Then why is my wife standing out there?" At that moment, the colleague realized the media was showing everything live. The prisoners were seeing their families on TV. So the jail officials quickly cut off all the TV signals inside the prison. But by now, the protest had gotten worse. Elena started feeling pain in her stomach. The crowd became more aggressive, and people were pushing each other. Meanwhile, Elena was hit with a stick, and the person who hit her was Utrilla. With just one blow, poor Elena collapsed to the ground. The media cameras recorded everything. When the TV signal inside the jail was cut off, the prisoners became even more furious. Melamander quickly grabbed the walkie-talkie and demanded a list of the injured people from the authorities. When Oliver asked about his wife, the jail officials lied and said everything was fine. Just then, Apache came to Oliver and threatened him. "If you don't listen to me, I'll tell everyone your truth." But Oliver already knew everything about Apache. He didn't get scared. Instead, he threatened him back. "Brother, I just came to jail today, and I'm a guard. The prisoners might forgive my lie, but you've been deceiving them for years while pretending to be one of them." Apache was shocked. He didn't expect Oliver to know his secret. Outside, Utrilla was suspended. The official paperwork said he accidentally injured someone in the crowd. But in truth, the jail authorities were protecting him. Inside the prison, Melamander and Oliver sat down to make their next plan. Melamander said, "I'll take full responsibility. You just say you were helping me under pressure. That way your sentence will be reduced, and you can return to your pregnant wife soon." At that moment, the list of injured people finally arrived. Melamander opened it. It had only 4 names. He immediately realized the authorities were lying. He was filled with rage and said something big must be done now. He decided to kill one of the 3 hostages, but Oliver said, "If we kill a hostage, the authorities will not spare anyone. They'll storm in and kill us all." So he suggested a different idea. "We'll just cut off a piece of his ear. That'll show them we're serious." Since it was Oliver's idea, he was given the responsibility. He quickly did the task, trying to make it as painless as possible. Then they sent the severed ear to the jail management. Now the authorities had no choice but to send the real list. When Oliver saw the list, his heart broke. His pregnant wife, Elena's name was on it. At the same time, Apache contacted someone outside and gathered some information. He found a video showing Utrilla clearly hitting Elena. Oliver watched the video again and again. With each viewing, his anger grew. He was risking his life inside the jail, working from the inside, while his wife was being beaten mercilessly outside. Even his colleagues hadn't told him the truth. Filled with rage, Oliver demanded that Utrilla be sent inside the prison. The hostages' lives were at risk, so the management couldn't say no. They sent Utrilla in, alone. As soon as he entered, Melamander threatened him with a knife and pulled him out of camera view. Oliver asked him about Elena, but he didn't say a word. When Oliver showed him the video, Utrilla turned his face away. Oliver couldn't take it anymore. He started beating Utrilla. Now he had lost control completely. He picked up the walkie-talkie and demanded to talk to his wife. That's when he finally learned the full truth. Elena and their unborn baby were both dead. Oliver broke down. He placed his head on Melamander's shoulder and cried like a child. Melamander then ordered the others to beat the guard. But suddenly that guard shouted in anger and exposed Oliver's secret. "Why are you all so emotional? This man is a prison guard." All the prisoners were shocked, but Oliver didn't care anymore. The only thing he wanted now was revenge. He killed Utrilla in front of everyone. After losing his wife and child, he had no will left to live. He quietly walked back to cell 211, took off his hidden belt, and thought of ending his life. But he couldn't even die. When he opened his eyes, he saw something written on the wall. An old man died of a headache. It was written by the prisoner who had stayed in that cell before him. Oliver felt like that prisoner's pain had now become his own. He left his old identity behind and truly became the prisoner of cell 211. On the other side of the prison, some people had started suspecting Oliver, but Malamadre knew deep down that even though Oliver used to be a guard, now he had become one of them. Their fates were now tied together. When the list arrived, the prisoners got even more angry. After seeing the condition of their families, they lost control. Now it wasn't just the prison authorities involved. The government stepped in too. They sent a high-ranking officer who said that most of the demands had been accepted. But as he began explaining the details, Oliver dragged Utrilla's dead body and threw it in front of everyone. He looked directly into the camera and said, "I killed him." And then he added, "We'll only listen when the Prime Minister appears on TV and says they've accepted all our demands." Now Oliver was fully part of the prisoner's side. Malamadre supported him and said, "Either fulfill our demands or pick up the dead bodies." The negotiator had to report everything back to his seniors. Malamadre knew the government wouldn't give in so easily, so he said, "Move the hostages to different locations and get ready for the final fight." That's when the prison management played a dirty trick. They told Malamadre that Oliver was actually a guard, and if Malamadre killed him, his sentence would be reduced. When he saw Oliver's file, he was shaken for a moment, but he still stuck to the plan. The hostages were moved. Then Malamadre went to Oliver with a knife. But when he looked into Oliver's eyes, he didn't see an enemy. He saw a loyal, broken man full of pain. He couldn't bring himself to kill him. Instead, he gave Oliver the knife and said, "I'll fight with you." Meanwhile, Apache revealed the real location information of the hostages to the prison authorities. Special forces made an attack plan. TV signals were restored inside the prison. News was showing that the old prison laws had been canceled. Oliver and Malamadre celebrated with joy, but they had no idea it was all a trap. The authorities only did this to calm the prisoners down. As the celebrations began, Apache had other plans. He killed the guards who were watching the hostages and took their place to protect them. Then smoke bombs were thrown inside the prison. Oliver understood everything immediately. He told Malamadre, "Kill all the prisoners or everything will be ruined." But just as they tried to go upstairs, someone attacked Oliver with a nail gun. Malamadre rushed to him, but the wound was deep. Apache screamed, "Both the leaders are dead!" Hearing this, all the prisoners dropped their weapons. Malamadre stood silently, watching everything fall apart. He had just wiped away his tears when Apache shot him from behind. Malamadre fell, but tried to fight back. Apache fired again, and this time Malamadre collapsed completely. The special forces took back control of the prison. Oliver died in pain. After everything was over, Oliver's colleague came to identify his body. He opened the door to cell 211 with guilt in his eyes. Inside, there was only a ring. Oliver was a good and honest man, but society took everything from him. In the end, instead of living as a guard, he chose to die as a prisoner. So now, friends, what do you think? Will Malamadre be able to take revenge on Apache for his friend Oliver? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next recap video. Till then, take care and goodbye.